The Gumbinnen Operation, also known as the Goldap Operation, was a Soviet offensive on the Eastern Front late in 1944, in which forces of the Third Belarusian Front attempted to penetrate the borders of East Prussia. The offensive failed due to strong resistance by the Wehrmacht. As a result, it is largely known through German accounts of the defense and because of the atrocities that were committed by troops of the 11th Guards Army, the so-called Nemmersdorf massacre. Planning. The operation was planned as a result of the success of the Memel offensive operation to the north. The troops of the 1st Baltic and 3rd Belarusian fronts had succeeded in pushing the 3rd Panzer Army back to the East Prussian border, surrounding the city of Memel and reaching the shore of the Curonian Lagoon. Stauka permitted Cherniakovsky to further exploit this success by attacking along the Gumbinnen-Insterburg-Königsberg axis deep into East Prussia. Cherniakovsky's plan involved using the 5th and 11th Guards armies to break open the German defensive lines, before pushing through exploitation forces from the 2nd Guards Tank Corps and 28th Army. The 31st and 39th Armies would advance on the flanks of the main force. The opposing German forces from the 3rd Panzer and 4th Armies were aided by the presence of substantial fortifications, and had been heavily reinforced. Deployments. Wehrmacht Army Group Center southern flank of 3rd Panzer Army 4 10th Panzer Corps, 9th Corps northern flank of 4th Army 27th Corps XXXXI Panzer Corps Fallschirm Panzer Corps Hermann Göring 6th Corps, Red Army 3rd Belarusian Front 11th Guards Army 5th Army 28th Army 39th Army 31st Army. The offensive. On the 16th of October, the 5th and 11th Guards armies went on to the offensive and initially penetrated some 11 kilometers into the German defensive belt. The flanking armies commenced operations the next day, by which time units of the 11th Guards Army had crossed the East Prussian border. The Soviet troops ran into extremely strong resistance. However, it took them 4 days to penetrate the initial tactical defenses, while the second defense line was so strong that Cherniakovsky was compelled to commit the 2nd Guards Tank Corps to break it. Casualties were extremely heavy. On the 20th of October, the second line was ruptured by the 11th Guards Army and 2nd Guards Tank Corps east of Gumbinnen, defended by the guns of the 18th Anti-Aircraft Division and the Fallschirm Panzer Corps Hermann Göring, which had been redeployed in the area to counter the Soviet advance. On the 21st of October, the Soviets' reserve, the 28th Army, was committed, but the offensive in the north was fought to a standstill in the region of Stalaponen thanks to some effective German counterattacks. Gumbinnen was taken by the 22nd of October, but retaken by German forces on the 24th of October after the Germans committed the 5th Panzer Division and Heavy Panzer Detachment 505. Units of 11th Guards Army found themselves cut off in the area of Grosswaltersdorf and were involved in intense fighting. In the meantime, the Germans had pressed more reserves, including the 102nd Panzer and Furrer Grenadier Brigades, into counter-attacks at Goldap, on the southern sector of the Soviet penetration. The town was retaken on the 25th of October. The Soviet attacks continued until the 27th of October as the flanking armies sought to close up to the 11th Guards Army. There was more fighting in the operation's immediate aftermath. On the 28th of October, the 31st Army retook Goldap in a surprise attack. The town was again taken by the 5th Panzer Division, which was redeployed from the Gumbinnen area on the 3rd of November.